Jude and Mary grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same state school, graduated the same year. Both landed jobs in their mid-20s that pay right around $58,000. Both take home about $3,400 a month after taxes. Both have a lease, a car payment, and a group chat where everyone complains about being broke. Here's where it gets strange. Jude checks his banking app on a Tuesday evening and sees $3,400. By the 22nd of that same month, he's got $190 left and 3 weeks until the next paycheck. He doesn't buy anything crazy. No shopping addiction, no gambling problem. The money just goes. Mary checks her banking app on that same Tuesday. She also has $3,400 from her paycheck. But sitting in a separate account, she's got $1,240 that came in this month from things she set up and largely forgot about. A parking spot, a storage unit, a dividend deposit, a couple of other boring, unsexy systems that run whether she's paying attention or not. Same salary, same city, same age, completely different financial life. This isn't a video about working harder. It's about what happens when you stop letting your only income stream be the one that requires you to show up. My name is Nick, and I've spent way too much time figuring out why some people stay stuck at the same bank balance month after month, while others, with no more talent, no more income, and no more time, slowly build a completely different life underneath their regular one. If you've ever felt like your paycheck evaporates before you've done anything interesting with it, subscribe and hit the like button, because today we're going through 15 of the most boring, low-effort income tasks that can quietly make you more than your job. Let's get into it. The moment you earn $1 from a job, the government takes the biggest possible bite. Federal income tax, state income tax, and a 7.65% payroll tax on top. If you're earning $58,000, you're keeping somewhere between $42,000 and $46,000. The rest went to taxes on your labor. Here's what makes this infuriating. If that same dollar came from a dividend, a long-term investment, or a rental income stream, it gets taxed at a completely different, much lower rate. Long-term capital gains are taxed at 0 to 20%. The Forbes 400 wealthiest Americans paid an average effective tax rate of 8.2%. Most middle-class workers pay more than double that. That's not a mistake. That's the architecture. And the IRS data on millionaires shows they average 7 income streams, not because they're geniuses, because the first income stream gets taxed the hardest and every additional one gets more favorable treatment. And then there's inflation. Since 2021, the cost of essentials, rent, groceries, and insurance has surged by nearly 25%. Nominal wage growth, it struggled to hit 21%. On paper, you're making more money. In reality, your paycheck buys 4 bags of groceries less than it did 5 years ago. You didn't get a pay cut, but you're living through one anyway. One income stream is always going to feel tight because it was always going to feel tight. The system is not designed for people who only have one. Mary didn't transform overnight. She started with one boring thing, then another, then another. 18 months later, $1,240 a month shows up on top of her paycheck from stuff she doesn't think about anymore. Here's exactly how she did it. Number 1, rent out your parking spot. If you live within a mile of anything people drive to, a hospital, a university, an airport, a stadium, you're sitting on an asset you're currently giving away for free. An unused driveway, a second garage spot, an assigned building space. Any of these can be listed on Spot Hero, Spacer, or Neighbor in 10 minutes. A spot near a hospital, $150 to $220 a month from one nurse who refuses to pay $18 a day to the hospital garage. Near a stadium with 3 events a week. Some Austin homeowners pull $360 a month just from game and concert nights. One Boston host with 4 spots near a hospital cluster earns over $1,000 a month from concrete. That's what he contributes, concrete. Monthly renters are the sweet spot. You list it once, they pay automatically, your time commitment is approximately 0. You did nothing. You went to work. You watched 3 episodes of something, and your driveway sent you $220. Mary started here. 1 parking spot near her office, $195 a month. She used it to fund entry number 2. Number 2, rent out your storage space. Americans own more stuff than they have space for, which is why the self-storage industry generates over $40 billion a year. Those facilities charge $150 to $250 a month for a basic unit. Neighbor.com undercuts that by connecting people who have unused garage, basement, or attic space with people who desperately need to store things. Average listing earns around $160 a month. A full 2-car garage brings $200 to $400. Average rental duration is 14 months. Recurring revenue, not a one-time thing. Neighbor reports hosts average $294 per hour of actual work, which makes sense once you realize you're spending maybe 30 minutes a month doing anything, and $160 shows up automatically. Startup cost, 0. Free to list. The real answer to why more people don't do this isn't ignorance, it's inertia. Everyone knows this exists. Nobody spends the 15 minutes to set it up. That's the gap that separates Jude and Mary. Number 3, vending machines. I know what this sounds like. Bear with me. You buy a snack or drink machine, negotiate placement in a high-traffic location, a factory break room, a gym, an apartment lobby, restock it once or twice a week, and collect the margin between wholesale and retail. Average net profit per machine, $300 to $600 a month at a solid location. A 10-machine operation produces $500 to $1,200 a month. Startup, $2,000 to $8,000 all in for a first machine. Location is 80% of the outcome. Finding good placements means cold calling businesses and asking if you can put a snack machine in their break room. This involves talking to building managers who did not ask to be called. The machines are passive, finding the locations is not. It's somehow less embarrassing than it sounds and more awkward than you'd hope, but once you have 2 or 3 good spots, those machines run without you. Profit from machine 1 buys machine 2. Profit from 2 buys 3. Number 4, ATM ownership. You can own the ATM, not just use it, own it. You buy a machine, negotiate placement in a cash-heavy business, a bar, a cannabis dispensary, a nightclub, and collect a $2.50 to $3.50 surcharge every time someone withdraws. At 300 transactions a month and a $3 surcharge, $900 gross. Net profit per machine, $200 to $700 monthly. Time, 1 to 2 hours a week. Startup, $4,000 to $15,000 total, which includes the vault cash, the money you physically load into the machine. And here's the part nobody says out loud. Your capital is literally sitting inside a metal box in someone else's bar. That $10,000 is not in your account. It's in the machine. Vet the location like you're signing a lease because economically you kind of are. The current sweet spot, cannabis dispensaries, legally cash only in most states. High foot traffic, limited vendor options. That's your leverage. Number 5, self-service car wash. KKR, one of the largest private equity firms on earth, invested $850 million in Quick Quack Car Wash. Not because car washes are exciting, because they're boring and they reliably work. The subscription model is what makes this interesting. Customers pay $25 to $40 a month for unlimited washes, recurring revenue, monthly, from people who need clean cars whether the economy is good or not. Self-service locations generate $50,000 to $100,000 in annual revenue at 14.6% net margins. Buying an existing location starts around $50,000. Honest note, absentee ownership is a term the industry loves, and car wash advisory calls plainly misleading. Pumps, motors, and compressors break on schedules they set for themselves, and equipment does not care that it's Saturday. But compared to running a restaurant with 15 employees who have opinions, this is as close to a machine that prints money as you can legally own. 5 down, 10 to go. Everything so far requires space you own or equipment you buy. The next 5 require neither, just money, and the discipline to leave it alone after you deploy it. These are the income streams the wealthiest people in the country use to pay lower effective tax rates than their assistants. Most are available to anyone with a brokerage account. Number 6, high-yield savings accounts. If you're keeping money at the bank your parents recommended, you're probably earning 0.39% APY. That's the national average for traditional savings accounts. High-yield online accounts currently pay significantly more than the national average, often 10 to 12 times more for the identical act of having savings. $10,000 at a traditional bank might earn you enough for a cheap lunch after a year. In a high-yield account, that same $10,000 could earn enough to cover a utility bill or your internet every month automatically for doing nothing differently except where you keep it. Traditional banks take your deposits, lend them out at 7 to 24% interest, and give you 0.39% back as a thank you. You are not getting a better product by staying. You are subsidizing their marble lobby. Setup 30 minutes. FDIC insured, no trick, no catch. The only reason most people don't do this is that switching banks feels like a task, the kind that lives on a mental to-do list for 14 months. Number 7. Treasury bills and I-bonds. T-bills are short-term U.S. government debt paying 3.6 to 4.0% currently. I-bonds are inflation-protected savings bonds at 4.03% composite. Both are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, as close to zero default risk as finance gets. The tax angle almost nobody uses. T-bill and I-bond interest is exempt from state and local income taxes. In California or New York, that exemption meaningfully improves your real yield versus a savings account at the same headline rate. TreasuryDirect.gov looks like it was designed in 2003 and hasn't been updated since, which is somehow both reassuring and concerning. But it works. Number 8. Dividend Index Funds. SCHD, the Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, holds roughly 100 dividend-paying companies, yields around 3.4%, and has delivered a 10-year annualized total return of about 12%. You buy shares. Companies pay you quarterly dividends, you reinvest. The dividends buy more shares, which pay more dividends. This is the compounding machine people reference without always explaining concretely. $10,000 generates roughly $340 a year, $28 a month. Not transformative today, but SCHD's dividend growth rate has run 10 to 14% annually over the last decade. The $340 this year becomes $378 next year without you adding a dollar. In 10 years, that original $10,000 could generate over $800 annually in dividends alone. Set it up in a Roth IRA, automate contributions, check it quarterly, not daily. The strategy here is aggressive non-action. Number 9, REITs, real estate investing without a tenant calling you at 11 p.m. about a leaking pipe, without 6 months trying to evict someone with a creative interpretation of their lease, and without $80,000 for a down payment. REITs are legally required to distribute 90% of taxable income as dividends. VNQ, Vanguard's real estate ETF, yields around 3.85% across 150 plus commercial properties. $10,000 earns $385 a year. Long-term total returns 8 to 10% annualized. Key detail, most REIT dividends are taxed as ordinary income. The fix is simple. Hold them inside a Roth IRA or 401k, and the tax drag disappears entirely. Don't let the tax detail stop you from using this. Just put it in the right account. Number 10, peer-to-peer real estate lending. Ground Floor lets you lend money to house flippers and developers secured against the actual property. Minimum $10 per project. Average annualized returns since 2013, around 10%. Higher yield than savings, T-bills, or most dividend funds because you're taking on credit risk. Some projects run late, some default. The way to manage it, spread across many projects. $5,000 across 50 different $100 loans means a single default barely moves your return. $5,000 in one project and you're having a much worse month. Not FDIC insured, treat it as a higher yield fixed income alternative. At 10% versus 4%, the math on why it belongs in a diversified income picture is straightforward. 10 down, 5 left. And if you're mentally running through which of these you could realistically start, you're already thinking differently than most people. Most watch a video like this, feel briefly motivated, and go back to whatever they were doing. The ones who don't are the ones who end up with something to show for it. Number 11, selling digital downloads. I know what you're thinking. You've seen the ads, guy on a beach, laptop, passive income. This isn't that. You create a digital file once, a budget spreadsheet, a Notion template, a printable planner, upload it to Etsy or Gumroad, and every sale after that costs you nothing except a transaction fee. Analysis of over 164,000 Etsy digital shops shows average monthly revenue of $2,444, median profit around $489. Real examples, Rachel Jimenez hit $110,000 in year 2 of selling templates. Ama Rose Designs earns $93,000 a year from printable planners she made once. Honest time breakdown, front-loaded. 20 to 40 hours a week for the first few months building a catalog and learning SEO. After that, 2 to 5 hours a week. Not passive on day 1, increasingly passive from month 7 onward. What works in 2026? Financial templates, home organization printables, educational worksheets for specific audiences. What's oversaturated? Generic budget trackers. Niche is not a limitation, it's the strategy. Number 12, print on demand. You upload designs to merch by Amazon, Redbubble, or TeePublic. A customer orders a shirt. The platform prints it, ships it, handles the customer who's upset about a medium that fits like a large. You collect a royalty and never touch anything physical. Rule of thumb, roughly $1 per active design per month across platforms. 100 designs, $300 a month. 500 designs from someone who's been at it 2 years, $3,000 to $5,000 a month. The honest number, only 15 to 25% of designs generate any sales. This is a research skill, not a design skill. You're finding niches with demand and low competition, then designing into that gap. Don't start this for quick money. Start it for the back catalog that pays you 3 years from now. Number 13, licensing stock photos and videos upload to Adobe Stock, Shutterstock, or Pond5. Businesses license them. You earn a royalty every time indefinitely. Honest state of this market in 2026, under pressure from AI. Generic content is largely dead. What's still working? Editorial photography of real places, drone footage, authentic images of real people with model releases. AI can generate a businessman shaking hands in 4 seconds. It cannot generate a genuine photo of a specific farmer's market in Portland. That specificity still earns. Video earns roughly 20 times more per clip than photos. A drone footage creator with a solid catalog earns $500 to $1,000 a month from clips uploaded years ago. If you already shoot good video, this deserves a look. If you're starting from scratch, other items on this list have a better ROI on your time. Number 14, paid focus groups and user testing. 0 startup cost, no special skills, and the hourly rate is genuinely surprising. Respondent.io pays $75 to $400 for a 60 to 90 minute focus group. Companies need real human opinions and are willing to pay rates that would embarrass most part-time jobs. Usertesting.com pays $10 for a 20-minute screen test. Prolific averages $12.50 an hour for answering research questions that are honestly often kind of interesting. This doesn't compound. No back catalog, no residual. You're trading hours for money at a good rate, but it's $150 to $900 a month with 0 barrier to entry. Some months, Mary does 3 focus groups. That's $600 for 6 hours of having opinions, which she was going to have anyway. Sign up across every platform simultaneously. Respondent, user interviews, Prolific, Dscout, user testing. The people earning real money here aren't smarter. They're just faster to click accept. Number 15, owning a laundromat. Machines wash clothes. Customers pay the machines. You own the machines. That business model has worked without interruption since the 1950s. The laundromat industry has a 94.8% 5-year survival rate. Restaurants sit around 60%. It survives because laundry never goes away. 90% customer repeat rate, 87% of customers live within 1 mile, and the number of locations is declining as older owners retire, meaning less competition for the ones who remain. Annual net profit for an active owner, $40,000 to $100,000. Dave Menz, known as the Laundromat Millionaire, which is an excellent title, earns around $2 million annually across 4 locations. ROI averages 20 to 28% per year. SBA loans often require as little as 10% down, which means acquiring a laundromat generating $80,000 a year could cost $32,000 out of pocket. Honest caveat, fewer than 5% run fully without owner involvement. Machines break on schedules they set for themselves, and they do not care that it's Saturday morning. Verify revenue against utility bills, not tax returns. Some sellers are optimistic, others are creative. But if you buy the right location, you've bought a machine that generates income for decades from people who will always have dirty laundry. Here's what Mary's life looks like 18 months after that first parking spot. Same job, same salary, nothing dramatic. But she's got a parking spot bringing in $195 a month, a storage unit generating $190, $40,000 in a high-yield savings account earning $1,680 a year, SCHD in her Roth IRA paying $340 in dividends last quarter, and a ground floor account averaging 9.8% across 30 small loans. Combined, just over $1,300 a month. She didn't go viral, no podcast, never asked anyone to join anything. She spent 4 evenings setting things up and left them alone. Jude still has $190 on the 22nd, not because he's worse with money, because he never built the systems. You are already trading hours for money. Every day at work, you take a block of your life and exchange it for a paycheck. That paycheck is the most expensive income stream you'll ever have. Highest taxes, stops the second you stop showing up, and there's a ceiling no amount of harder work breaks through. These 15 things are all in different ways a second trade. One where you exchange a smaller block of time or capital up front and collect a return for months or years afterward. And that's how the tax code actually works. That's how wealth actually accumulates. That's why the average millionaire has 7 of these running while most people have 1. 3 things worth doing this week. Not motivational poster stuff, actual 45-minute tasks. Open a high-yield savings account. 30 minutes, instantly 10 times your return on existing savings. List your parking spot or storage space, 15 more minutes, potentially $150 to $200 a month from something you weren't using. Start SCHD or VNQ in a Roth IRA, even $50 a month, because the compounding clock starts the day you start, not the day you feel ready. The boring tasks won't make you interesting at dinner. Nobody's following up when you mention your storage rental covered groceries this month. But the people who set these up quietly and leave them alone end up somewhere fundamentally different from the people who kept waiting for the exciting version. Jude is still waiting. Mary already stopped thinking about it. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. If this was useful, subscribe and I'll keep making these. See you in the next one.